we live. Yeah, buddy. Let's see. All right. Sweet. I think we're live. I'm going to kill this so that my bandwidth is not turned into dog poopy, which it likely will anyway, but, you know, here we are. Okay. I guess it's going to change back to, yeah. Is it pause automatically still?
Because it has like a marketing value. But I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not asking for anything. I just want to come there. I want to have access to the event. Not only me, but also my camera guy, which is Voxel. Shout out to Voxel, by the way, amazing camera,
We all need a camera
operator.
guy,
Asked for this 4 months before, and I remember either you or.
All right, I have to close this silly thing. So if it's React and recording is stopped, and streaming is running, recording was on. What are you doing, chat? What are you doing? Oh, okay, that's why. Cool. Let's actually see how that worked out. I have like a whole new set of toys and macros that I'm playing with. Very exciting to me. Very exciting to me. Probably exciting to nobody else. But it's exciting to me. Didn't even work. All right, that's fine. I'll just turn it off for now. It's a switch to chat. I mean, I don't even have a chat popped out, so I should fix that for sure. Folks, we're doing. I'm happy actually to. I'm proud to say that like I have my motivation back to focus and emphasize on production speed, but in a way that's not vapid. Like I'm not afraid to open up a video editor anymore. Like it's not a waste of time. The way that I edit videos is no longer a waste of time, and so like it doesn't have to be everything. What? Did this stream never end? You gotta be shitting me. This should have ended. Why hasn't it ended? Let's do that. Yep. No. I don't know why it's still live there. That's weird. That might explain a few things. It's going well for it's going real well. Sorry, I just had to pop out chat real quick because, you know, what's life without chatting? There's no point in live streaming if we can't chat. That's the whole appeal, at least for me. So I'm gonna get a little closer to that. A little closer than that. There we go. Because I'm fucking old. Is that gonna work? I feel like that works. That works. That work. Yeah, it's a little bit. We're gonna put a little bit more to the left. Bam! I got assets, y'all. I got assets. Look at this. Look at that. It's supposed to be a different transition. Look at this. That's not the transition I wanted. What's up with you? I want a stinger. Give me that stinger transition. Give me that stinger transition. Come on, man. No. No. What are you doing? You're supposed to be like this. Boosh. There we go. Okay, transition. Yeah, budget. See what that is? See what that is? That's powerful right there. That's powerful. Okay. Sweet. Let's get back to it.
Juliana would tell me, Maddox, you were a big part of this beatbox. Of course, you're getting access. Don't worry. You will get all the access that you need to make your content, and we trust you, and we believe this can be a nice collaboration. Then GBB happens. I'm trying to enter. I'm standing in front of the doors for I think 2 hours. You couldn't help me out. And by the way, I don't want to blame you right now or Juliana. I'm just
we were doing as we were told.
Hold on. Okay, let me get this straight. You have a well-known figure in the community. You have someone who's not on your payroll, right? He is voluntarily going to this event, right? He's voluntarily going to GPB. And he's you know he can edit. You know he's going to make you look good. And you don't let him in? I think it's very, very difficult. I will say this. It is very difficult not to get angry or jealous or vindictive when you run a business. But you can't be those things. So the idea that, this is just bizarre, right? Like, I like money. I like business. I like working from home. I like making money. I make decisions based on making money. Not all the time, but most of the time, because that's business. The idea that he didn't do that, that you would just leave outside in the snow or the rain, I'm sure it was much better than that. But let's just imagine, right? He's got, paper bags for shoes. He's out there. He says, "Please, sir, let me edit for you for free." And you're like, nah. Who likes money? Not me. It's fucking stupid.
I'm just telling the story right now, what I was experiencing. So I was standing there. Neither you nor Juliana could tell me when I can get access or if I ever can get inside. I was stressing out a lot because I was like, guys, I brought a camera person now. We're paying hotels here. I'm here with my concepts. I need to execute these concepts. I want to do this right now. Let's solve this problem. And then I don't remember if it was you or Juliana. One of you guys gave me a pass. I was like, here's a media pass. Go on. I was like, okay, cool. I can start doing stuff. Let's go. Switched on the camera.
Hold on. Having some difficulties doing my technical shenanigans. Alright, so these are just recording straight up. What are you doing? Alright. And then you are done. Okay. I wish there was a way to delay the video. I think there actually is. There's a way to delay the video and the audio feed. Because if I could do that, let me actually write that down. If I could do that, then I can record I can record and just hit the button to record whenever I start talking, and then because it's on a delay, it'll capture whatever I'm reacting to. So I might actually just do that. Not right now, obviously, but I think I can actually do that exactly. We're gonna find out. I'm not gonna get into super into it. It's my guilty pleasure. You know what I mean? It's my guilty pleasure, so I'll try not to get into it. All right. Oh, I gotta lock down the let me actually see, because I might have just taken a long time to rant. Okay, let me get this straight. You have a well-known figure in the community. You have someone who's not on your payroll, right? Is voluntarily going to, you know what I could do too? Could actually have a second instance of OBS. I'm sorry, guys. This is like what I wake up in the morning for. Yeah, those are two solutions for that. This is dope. All right. This is dope. God, I want to do it right now. I'm excited to be back, man. That's what it is. I really am. I'm excited to be back. Let's do this. Let's get this bread.
Did the first video running around happily. I even interviewed Peponi. He was in one of my vlogs. I had him in front of my camera talking to him.
I mean, this is just silly. That's what this is. This is not working, and then this is not working, so we're gonna kill that. All right.
And then I went upstairs, shooting interviews with artists upstairs, which was the backstage. So yeah, it's not back. It was not behind the stage, but it was upstairs. And then you approached me and told me like, Maddox, you can't be here. This area is just for artists and friends.
Wow.
And oh boy, this was hurting us. I was like, artists and friends?
As if he weren't
Who
both.
am I? Like, I was like, wow.
As if he weren't both. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh.
I know, it was so embarrassing for me.
Yeah, and it was like, and you were telling me this, and I was like, I can't even be mad at you right now, because I'm 100% sure you right now are just executing what someone told you to do.
Bro, I will never forget immediately after you interviewed him, because I saw him and he looked at me, and then the face changed to, I am so mad at you. And I was like, oh no. So he walks towards me and he's like, I told you not to let him in. I told you to make him wait out there for hours. Like, every single thing that you pointed was a calculated punishment for you.
Did he mention like a reason for it?
I hate saying it out loud, Maddox, because it's mean and hurtful, but he's just like, I don't want to look at his face. I don't want him here. He wanted me to kick you out of GBB. And I...
This is tough. This is tough. I know that there are probably like kids that are like, you know, who, or even maybe young adults who listen to this on her part and feel angry and critical of her. And I would too, except she has children. That is a big factor, right? She is in Europe. She's an American in Europe, spending a lot of time in Europe. And it's COVID. I mean, it's not easy necessarily to find a job like that.
I said, you cannot kick Maddox out of GBB because he's very important to the community. He's important to this event in the past. If you kick him out, he is going to freak out. And half of these fans are probably going to follow him because it's fucked up. You know, you can't do that. But yeah, but why would he allow you to interview him? Act all friendly and nice. And then 2 seconds later, tell me, get him the fuck out of here. I want to punch his face, all this crazy stuff. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy talk. there were so many like hateful and disgusting things that were said. And it's not just you. He treats everybody this way if you actually get to know him. I have a lot of examples. And like in that, when I left Swiss Beatbox, I presented them with a 12-page report explaining why I had to leave. These are the ethical violations I see. They're big problems. They need to be dealt with. You know, the main one was his treatment of his own employees. He's not willing to pay people correctly. He's not willing to just treat people with respect. He belittles people. He talks bad about people. He makes fun of people. He bullies people. I remember when we were professional film, this is after you left, but we were filming educational videos in Barcelona. And it's in that letter that I shared that God, like he was so mean to Senjo. And I will never forget just hearing him just be so mean to Senjo, just calling him, you know, like just a fat piece of shit. And people.
This is hard, man. It is actually legitimately hard to hear this. Hey, what's up? Hey, Defiant, welcome. Good to see you. She was being held hostage, literally her income. Yep. This is where it gets from bad management to personal rivalry, which is the worst. Is management. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Misanthrope. 100%. I want to be almost a devil's advocate, but I feel like the problem with being a devil's advocate in this situation is that you're actually talking about a devil. Like, that might be a little far-fetched. Like, this is hearsay, technically, right? But it's hearsay that is not in isolation, right? So, yeah, it's hard to sit down through. It is. Like, yeah, it's hard to sit through this. And I mean, like I said, it could be hearsay. The problem is that this is not an isolated incident of these claims, right? You have Shazam and Sin. They're saying we won't do reactions to GBB content. They're leaving money on the table. Everyone wants to see the GBB content, right? Or at least like a good portion of people. And they're just leaving the money on the table because they're like, listen, I won't do it. And it makes me wonder if there is an issue with their channel and that's why they haven't returned. I mean, that's pure speculation. Actually, we're not going to go down that road. I have no idea, but it's weird. Thanks for that, Defiant. I don't know why my mic keeps going halfway. There's got to be something that does that because I keep having to bump it. Yeah, it's got to be something. It's this. Whoa, why do I have it 3 times, 2 times? That's unnecessary. All right. Yeah, we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of this. We'll deal with that later. It's supposed to be a transition for that, but that's definitely what's doing it. I need to look at these macros again. This is a mess. I need to organize my life. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it, Defiant.
People have to talk for themselves, but the way that he talked down to Senjo.
But I mean, that's what you were seeing yourself, right?
Yeah, and just and the interns, and just everyone. He treated poor Luca. Luca worked so hard, and he was not getting compensated all at nothing.
He was the person that took over my job, right?
Yeah, but he was not qualified to do your job, so that was unfair. And like you, didn't have the resources. Didn't have.
Yeah, and I mean, like, of course, like, I had 7 years experience. Like, how can someone just like this take it over? Like, even if he would be like 10 years into business.
This is the thing. I love interns. I love interns because it is cheap labor, but it's cheap labor because they don't know what they're doing. And so you limit the task range of what you ask interns to do. Let me tell you what you don't do. You don't replace a full-time editor who has managed to create so much success online for himself and for the company, and then think that an intern covers that job. I'm not trying to say that interns are bad or incompetent. I'm saying they're inexperienced. So that you would take your most experienced person and just replace them with an inexperienced person, where that's a major, probably I think the only form of income aside from sponsorships from Boss. Like that's your moneymaker. This is weird. It's weird to me to hear all this because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
You have to have transition time, right, to get into a new job. It's impossible to replace someone just like that.
Convinced us all, other executives or whatever, that you were poisonous, you were the problem. Once you left, everything would be fine. Then you left. Of course you weren't the problem, so.
That's ridiculous. And the thing is, like, I tried to talk to him so many times.
I know.
To find out what is the
Okay, so not the point here. But this is driving me a little nuts. Let me see if I can zoom into it here. Let me see if I can just zoom into it right here. You see how that like little pixel from her side is just overlapped right here? I can't even tell you how many hours I've spent looking for this little thing, and I bet no one noticed or gives a shit. And there you go. Like totally not the point of listening to this, but it's just, I can't help but look at it. Primarily because it's easier to look at it and be bothered by that than it is to actually finish the interview and watch the interview.
real issue? I tried to talk to other people from Swiss Beatbox to find out what's the issue, because I felt I don't see what I'm doing wrong right now. Please someone tell me so I can do better, right?
I think we were all trying to do too much with too little resources. So we were all stressed out.
Yeah.
And deadlines were hard for all of us to maintain because
now it makes perfectly.
Yeah, he would just have meetings without our knowledge, and we'd have these deadlines, and he would change our existing deadlines without telling us, and it was just a big mess. But from a business management standpoint, there are, methods that if you employ these methods, you can manage people. But he refused to do it. He just refused to humble himself and learn how to manage people correctly. He wanted to sit behind a big desk, and be the spokes guy and have everything just go nicely and perfectly like a little river of Swiss chocolate. And
I don't know. Like, I can tell there's some animosity here. I will say this. It's very difficult to run a business. It's very difficult. Bill Gates, a lot of people who were with Bill Gates when Microsoft started have nothing good to say about Bill Gates. He was an anxious mess. He was a dictator. Like all the negative stuff is right there. And then and then obviously Steve Jobs was held as an absolute jackass. I'm not saying being emotionally irresponsible and dumping that on people who are working for you, that's okay. But it is very difficult. So I don't know if, she says that there are methods. She's the one with the experience. I'm not. When I started my nonprofit, I was a mess. But I tell you what, when I started I worked very hard to not treat people like this. I worked very hard, and when I did do it, I apologized. But it is not easy. So this idea that maybe he was standing and behind a desk, I don't know, Poponi. She does, he does. So I'm going to take their word for it. But it is very difficult. Right, Defiant? You can't unsee it now, right? You're like, you can't. It's like it's there, and it's just going to be like, right. Anyway.
And that's not how business works. You have to have relationships with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, to be honest, like I can't even be mad at anyone at Swiss Beatbox because everyone got treated like shit.
Everyone did.
You can't operate properly if you get such a treatment.
Poor Hideful on live streams this last couple of years. Hideful was in Russia doing the best that he can. He's like a 20-year-old kid. He's a gamer using his computer. I mean, he needed a lot of better resources to run live streams, and it was just really irritating. Every time a live stream problem happened, you know, Paponi would go irate and start freaking out, yelling at everybody, cursing us all out. When are we going to get a proper setup? You know, we don't have money for that. It was just insane. You know, you had to leave and I had to leave because we saw the same thing, this circular problem of this person doesn't know how to run a company or how to build a company. They don't even know how to pay people right. They don't even know how to run a meeting without losing their temper, if we're honest. One meeting. So
yeah, I saw him leaving a meeting and leaving the country after the meeting.
And do you know how much money that costs with BEATBOX for him to act that way? This is my point. He made me leave with him. So we both left the country.
That's so weird.
And we had to we walked up to the counter and changed our flights at the counter. And they said, well, to do that, that's going to cost 1,000 euros. And he's like, done. You know, so that's the frivolous spending I'm talking about, is being a brat, kind of, you know. And why do you have to leave the country right now? Why can't you take a train to Switzerland? You have to take a flight now and blow $1,000. And then when I asked him, I said, that seems expensive. And he's like, this money is not my fault. This is your fault. He was actually blaming me for owing you guys and to interrupt him. That's what he was actually mad about the whole time.
Yeah, so I remember we had this tutorial idea that we proposed to Boss with MB14, which is online on Swiss Beatbox, the loop station tutorials.
Great series.
We had this idea.
Yeah, I actually have every intention to follow that one live and to go through that because I really want to learn how to better use the RC505. It took me when I ran the nonprofit, and let me be very clear, I ran my nonprofit badly because I didn't have experience. I was very young when I did it, and I did not have experience, and that was extremely consequential. I also was working with people who did not have the means to do it in a voluntary capacity, and I do feel like a nonprofit has that. I don't think it's wrong for a nonprofit to ask for volunteer work, and I did pay something to everybody. However, looking back, if I could do it differently, I would have done less shit. I would have done my job better, one thing at a time. And that's something I'm trying to apply to this channel. I could have easily kept releasing 60 to 90 to 100 videos a month. And I would have been fine, but I would have stagnated because it's too much all over the place. And there's a need to focus and rein it in. And that does take a level of maturity. At the same time, you have an advisor with all this experience. I don't know, man. I actually would have loved to have an advisor. I actually, I did. I sought out mentors and I sought out advisors because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
While the meeting was going on, right? But he got mad at us because we would start brainstorming about it without his permission, yeah. We wanted to finally be able to afford our flats and living.
Dude, every single one of us in that room, we just wanted to fund a full-time job to keep working there. That's all we were trying. And remember the agreements, those legal agreements I brought? And I remember, I think it was Shazam who was like, yeah, can I have a lawyer look at this? or maybe it was you.
So Pepuni was presenting a contract.
But yeah, the transitional contract to each of us, and there weren't shares in there. And I remember it was just several pages, and I just handed it to you guys. And I remember, I think it was Shazam, but it may have been you who said, yeah, so I'm just going to have a lawyer look at that. And I will never forget how angry he got. And he was like, what? Rachel is a professional. Why would we have lawyers look at professional materials? And I remember I was...
What? The Michael Scott method of money management? I don't know who Michael Scott is. You mind catching me up on that? I could Google it, but I'd rather have the conversation, but unless it's obnoxious. Yeah, I don't know who Michael Scott is. I feel like that's someone I should know. Want to watch me do the RC505? I was nervous before about doing practice streams because they do so poorly. But I think I've gotten over my fear of that because I think I've started to appreciate, like, for example, like the dance one that I'm doing today. I suck at dancing, and it's going to be funny. 2-3 people show up, right? Not a big deal. Because the context is going to be like how all of these different celebrity pop singers are dancers. And then I'll have that footage to use for that. But The Office, Boss in the Office. Oh, got it. Okay, I haven't seen The Office. So there we go. That's funny. Now I get it. Bit of an older reference. No, I mean, like, I should watch The Office. It's like a cultural, it's some cultural consequences, and I do use the memes from it. No, dear God, no. Oh my God. And I've seen clips of it. There's that one part where he does Law and Order all by himself. Dun dun. I love Steve Carell. Yeah. I was supposed to get rid of my shit there. For some reason, sometimes it tanks. I don't know why. Like right now it's having a hard time letting go of the encoding, and I just don't know why. I'm wondering if I'm thinking it's like past due time to move on to MKV. And this is still encoding as well. What is going on? Which one was that? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oops, this is not good. Yeah, it's still encoding. Yeah, it's still encoding. Stop being a dick, OBS. I can't even refresh it because I'm live, which sucks. There goes the point. I don't know why it does this. It does do it. Sucks. It was a good show. They really did corporate world right for hilarious fact. I should have spent more time in the corporate world before I did these things. Stop recording. Stop it. Why are you taking forever to do this, OBS? I know you're better than this. I know you're better than this. I know you have higher standards than this. What if I just record again? What if I just do that? And then do this? That sucks. Can't really film if OBS is busted like that. I think I might have to restart OBS. I think this also justifies having a backup OBS open. which actually reminds me, because like the internet connection is the big thing right now. That's the bottleneck. But thank you for Defiant for actually helping me set up a situation where almost anything is works better than yeah. I have the ability to make shit work because I have the ability to make shit work. So yeah, I think the settings would maintain. Anyway, let's get this over here. This is cool. I can just open and it's just like it works. This is great. Okay. I'm gonna have to be right back. I have to be right back. All right. Okay. This should work. We should be live. Yeah, good, we're live. All right, sweet. All right. That's not too hard. Just switching the instance of OBS, opening another one. That's not too difficult. It does make me wonder if I should just switch to MKV. Okay, I was about to be fucking furious. All right. How long was that? Is this just me talking? Yeah, it's just me talking about nonsense. All right. And you gotta go. You know what it is? Maybe if I do this, maybe if I kill FFmpeg from Task Manager, I think that probably does it. And I'll be easier. I don't have to kill live stream. 3 instances of OBS. One more should not be open. I don't care. Fine. Oops. Ah, there she was. Okay, so there are 2 instances of OBS open. I'm gonna do that. Hopefully it's not that one. Is it that one? Okay. I think that fixes it. Let's see. Yep, cool. All right, we're learning. Let me write that again and again. All right, what's cool is I can, now that I know these things, I could just make macros for them, which is nope. Nope. All right, let's get back to it though.
I was like, it's okay. And I was like, actually, if you want to have a lawyer look at it, I would advise that. That's great. Because you have the right to have a lawyer look at any contract. And I remember it so clear because I said, you have the right to have a lawyer look at any contract I ever give you. And like the way I handed you guys the agreements, and I was looking at him like, any contract I ever give you. But this behavior, you know, it spreads into how he does everything, how he interacts with artists, like the agreements for GBB. Not just that the contracts did not compensate artists for the use of their routines and content.
So from 2021, you're talking.
Yeah, just the way it was also presented to the artists was very unacceptable and not good business and not protecting artists at all. It's quite frustrating.
So how was it
So
presented?
there was this big tables when we got to the Westin, when people were coming in and checking in, and the artists were supposed to, when they arrive, come in and check in and get a packet that included, you know, the contract, their schedule on what days, where they, because we had several projects going on, what rooms they were supposed to be at what times, and then they were supposed to sign it all and give it back to us, and you know, go along their way and kind of get along on their schedule. And the idea is great,
Yeah.
right? But I get this message from Juliana like, "Hey, can I get your help at the table?" And I'm like, "Or you want to run the table for a while?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I go down there and I'm watching her for a minute, and I'm just like seriously horrified, because what I see is people who do not speak English, who do not understand her, who do not understand the agreement, being rushed through to sign agreements. People like all the artists from Japan. None of those guys knew what the heck they were signing. And I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Because I'm a businesswoman, you see, and I went to
Yeah.
school for this. And I'm not saying she's a horrible person. I'm just saying, like, that's not good business ethics. You don't do that.
And she was
I'm glad she clarified that she went to school for this. That's very helpful to know. So when I was fucking up my nonprofit, busy doing that, what I did was I had a contract template. And I had this template created by my stepfather, who graciously did it, but he does military contracts. Or at least did. Military contracts. So these are like 40-page contracts. Like, it's insane. But it's what I had. Luckily, I had people's trust, and I did not screw them over. I did not utilize the contract in a way that I was perfectly allowed to, because I'm not an asshole. Anyway, but contracts and working with contracts, if you're inexperienced, is very, very difficult. And this kind of is the point, right? It's he's not experienced. And it just sucks when you're not experienced, because then, you know, as the business grows, you have to grow with it, and your skill set has to grow with it, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But all the more reason you should be trusting and relying on the people who actually know what they're doing here. I want to crank up my volume a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. That should do it, right? Yeah, that's better. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah, I could also do a little compression on the RC505, and that'd probably sound better, but oh well. Yeah. I gotta figure out like how to transition to this more elegantly. You know what I mean? So that's another one I'll write down. Let me actually fix this, and I'll experiment with it right now. And streaming, running, and mic above, and recording stopped for, let's do 30 seconds. Maybe 25 seconds, 20 seconds. And then what I can do there is I can take the film hotkey and use that to switch scenes. Let's see if this is kosher. All right.
She was forced to do this, right?
She was trying to get things done. She had way too much to do.
Yeah.
She was underpaid, overworked like everybody else. And it makes you crazy, right?
Yeah.
It makes us all crazy.
Yeah.
So,
And you start making mistakes.
and you start doing things you would never normally do. In this case, what bothered me the most is I talked to her about it. And I said, hey, because I walked up and I said, hey, I watched for a minute because I don't do stuff without training, right? I want to know what I'm doing, what to expect. So I kind of trained myself by watching the line. Okay, here's how it's going. And so I said, I don't understand why artists are being rushed to sign these agreements. And they don't even speak this language.
And if nothing else, that is definitely like setting yourself up for people to not trust you. And that in and of itself is worth it. I think that for her, I would have the criticism, I don't, but I would have the criticism that if you go to school and if you've gone through all these formal means, then startup worlds are not exactly the same. Except she seems to have given a lot of trust and a lot of herself to try to make that accommodation for, okay, I'm in a startup, not everything's so clean and ready, but like clearly she put a lot of patience into this, right? So I can't even give her that critique. Everything I'm hearing is that she's extremely valuable. So why wouldn't you treat her that way? But
they need to go talk to people, and they need a translator. It is not ethical to make them sign a contract in English when they have no idea what it says. And she was like, I don't have time for that. There's no time for that. No time. And she just didn't care. And that bothered me. That's just an example. So those types of examples just kept happening, where it was like, it might seem like a small thing, but it's a big thing to me and to the artists.
Yeah, because the artists travel the world to compete there.
And they are not treated nicely. They aren't even greeted like, hey, how's it going? We're so happy you're here. It's more like, hey, get over here, get in line, sign this. Come on, let's go. Beatboxers are sheep. People kept saying the beatboxers are sheep. Got to move them along. And I'm like, how rude.
Like
anyway,
literally
so
said
the way that she ran the logistical team, it in some ways was effective. And I don't mean to pick on her. I just don't think ethically to work with an international group, it's not about bossing people around and herding them around like sheep. You have to make sure that you take care of them. So
Yep.
when I went up there, I had the agreements, and I took time with people, and I said, do you understand what this means? And they said, well, what is that? And I said, well, this is the section on your rights with your routines and your track. Because anything that you perform on stage, you own. But Swiss Beatbox has the right to use it in any way that we want to, and we will not compensate you for that. Do you agree to that? And some of them are like, do I agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
And I had some people kind of take the contract, didn't want to sign it yet, think about it. And then they said, do I have to sign this to participate in GBB? And I said, yes, you do, unfortunately. So it was also a matter of they couldn't participate unless.
And they were already...
The right to use an artist's image is a piece of contention for a lot of reasons, right? Twitch does this, but people don't like Twitch for doing it. But as a company, the incentives are there. I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing in the contract, but it's the combination, right? Like if you want to really strong arm artists and be like, listen, the only way that this is profitable is that I have to be able to have, the rights to your image. At the same point, we can't sit here and pretend that that's not exploitation. It is. That's bean counting. You're like, if I do this, I will make more money. But it sours the relationships. And there is a point where that hits a boiling point, and clearly it has. So there should be some sort of compensation, and because otherwise you're just throwing your weight around, and that's just going to make people, it's going to kill your brand. So you have to balance short-term goals with being, not unethical.
There. Like they paid to travel.
They paid to travel, but let me tell you, we did send packets out ahead of time in email. So
okay.
we tried, and I know Juliana was frustrated with the lack of response with the emails, but here's what I have to say. You can't just send a kid who doesn't know this language an email that has a 58-page attachment and expect them to read through it all. by themselves.
I'm sorry.
58?
You can't expect anybody. I'm not gonna be like, well, English speak. No, like no one's gonna read a 58-page contract or 58 like that's ridiculous to have that expectation, English speaking or not. Unless it's like a major deal, like I don't know, with Coca-Cola. Just saying.
Lots of
Pages?
pages. Again, these are just little things that you can do to change the outcome, perhaps. All the other people out there who are putting on beatboxing events right now, when you create content, make a rule that you share a percentage of any money you make from an artist or a group. You just share in it like royalties. You just a percentage.
Yeah.
Now maybe with the views on your channel, it's not a lot of money, and that's not the point. It's the principle, because you don't know what videos are going to go viral.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if you don't take the time to take care of people, then what the heck are we doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be an event for the community, for the artists.
So why are we hurting them like sheep unless we just care about getting that signature and doing our thing and getting money?
I mean, on the legal side, they didn't do anything wrong because there were contracts and people signed
Exactly.
it. But it was just a bad service to the artists. It was like not in favor of the artist.
And it was shitty. There were shitty agreements. I mean, if you read the agreements, like we have the right to take that content and use it any way we want.
But that's not uncommon. When you make a contract that's general and you want to use the image of the artist, you put that in there not because you're gonna do it like you're not gonna put them in a porno, but you want to have the ability to exercise different. You want to be able to leverage the content, and you might not know which way that's going to go, like which way is the most profitable. However, to their point, this is not the first year he has done this. This is not the first year of GBB. This sounds like it's 2021, and GBB goes back to what, 2016? Probably earlier, right? So at that point, like if you have to rely on this sort of strong arming and chicanery, you should probably look at like what's going on and being like, we shouldn't be at this point anymore. We're a large enough brand where we can, say like 10%, even just 10%. Imagine what MB14 and Sorrow get if it's just 10%. I bet they make like, let's actually look at that. How you like that stinger transition? Look at that. Come on, budget. It was free, actually. It's free on the internet. All right. Real quick, let me just get that up here. Okay. All right, let's assume, hold on, how much, where's the RMB14 video at? Because that matters. Holy crap. Okay, it's worth 51 million views. Like, just look at that. That's 51 million views, right? Okay. So if we're at 51 million, let's assume the worst, and that's a $2 CPM, which means for every 1,000 views, you get X amount of money. 51 million. Now we get rid of 3 zeros. And then we multiply that by the CPM. And again, we're going to assume the worst. There we go. That's $100,000, right? By the way, this is why CPMs are difficult. Because you would think a 51 million view video would bring in a lot. It doesn't really, but it's enough. And they had enough videos to where it would be a lot of money. But just this, if SAR and MB14 got a percentage of that, that's like 10 grand. And then they could release, as they did, they released those tracks into music videos, into like, you know, their own stuff, and they parlayed that and stuff. So there's a lot of benefits you can do with that. But just, again, even just 10%, 5 grand, 10 grand, like, they made their money off of this. They got the sponsorship from Boss. I bet after MB14 and Sorrow, Boss comes back and is like, listen. I like money. I would like to give you more money because you have made me lots of money. So it's hard to justify not in, especially in that situation. Like you can make, here's the thing, you know, giving everybody 10%, even if you have a good efficient pipeline for it, someone needs to do it, right? So you can say, okay, well, if it doesn't make this much money, you don't get the percentage. That I used to do with bars. Like it was like, listen, I will pay what it would be to rent this venue if we don't make X amount of money. Because having a good relationship and a good rapport with the business is extremely important.
Way.
Yeah, I remember I proposed this to Pepuni in 2019. I was like, we should take all the rounds, make an album out of it, put it on Spotify, and give shares to the artist.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, never happened.
Nope.
And I was like, this would be such an amazing opportunity to at least give some money to the artist.
And actually, it would help many of the artists who are not well known. That is an opportunity that they would make more money coming together as an event album.
Or like fund prizes with this.
Oh, that's smart. I would not have thought of that. That's really smart. Sorry, just catching up on y'all now. Let's see. All right. Hey, sorry, is that underscore? Can I just call you underscore? The key is that Twitch is big enough to basically do it, even if it's unpopular. SBX is a microscopic company in comparison to most artists. I don't entirely agree, given the position. It's relative to the industry, right? Is there the only business that I would see is comparable to Swiss Beatbox would be like Codfish. But even then, I doubt Codfish has the revenue sources that Swiss Beatbox does. So you can throw, first mover advantage is massive. You can throw your weight around if you have a first mover advantage. So even though Swiss Beatbox is tiny, they are the biggest, or they were the biggest relative to what was available. But I agree with you. Long term, paying the artist is the right move. You have to assume that a competent competitor will eventually come up and be like, again, year 1, year 2, maybe year 3, you're just trying to make it work. You know, you cannot predict the future. If year 1, 2, 3, you're like, I don't know what's going on. But at a certain point, you have to think about the future. There will be other events. The idea that there wouldn't be other events is very silly. So the idea that you would not, you know, head that off by being the best option. Like, what artist would go to another event if as you know, if a GBB offers them compensation, even a little bit, even what we just talked about, like 10%, and oh god, that's such a good idea. An album, a GBB 2000X album. Holy crap, that would have killed. Imagine that. That's insane. That's such a good idea. On how much they could have given. Yeah, the potential there, it's definitely like I agree with you. The potential is the potential earnings. It's just sort of like a lost opportunity, especially in regards to like Spotify or albums and stuff like that. You're not taking money from the artists or the community at that point. You're taking money from advertisers, which is the right way to do it. Of course, you want that, right? The less you cost the community, the better. The more money you inject into the community, the better. Just the strength of the BX videos, So and Surik are doing really well with local Japanese tourists. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. That there are artists who are killing it on touring. Imagine a world where GBB helps facilitate touring as a service, right? Artists benefit from that. You get a cut off the top. You're familiar with events and you have relationships with venues in different countries. You have the name to swing around to get to different venues, and you can like so to her point, you can make a GBB 2017 album. You can make a 2017 tour and still make a killing. And if you position yourself as being valuable to the artist instead of relying on the exploitation, you have far more of you have more opportunity. You make more money. And again, what competition is going to come up out of nowhere and be able to compete with you? Nothing really. At that point, you would be secured, and you would be able to do it because it's a win-win. No one would be angry if all of a sudden, GBB takes 20, 30, 50% even of an album and a tour. Obviously, that's a little silly, but you can start there. If your complaint is you don't have enough money, you can be like, hey, we're going to do something beneficial for you, but we're going to strong arm you a little bit and we're going to take more money than other genres and other industries could take because we're the only one out there. But again, that is short-term thinking. That is what you do when you don't have enough money to operate. And you only do it under those circumstances. Longevity, planning for brand, when you can afford to do that, should always be the move. So SBX is big on Beatbox World, but you can market all over overall music just fine. So even decided not to submit any wildcards this year beyond. He's doing really well without them. That's the thing, and like luckily we're in a position where the artists are outgrowing Swiss Beatbox, which is, I think, what you want. I mean, MMA got a lot better for fighters when Conor McGregor became bigger than the UFC. And my nonprofit was an artist advocacy organization. I felt artists were getting screwed. So I started a nonprofit to inject money into a community so that people could get paid more because I didn't like what I saw. I don't know. It's like it's all short term, which doesn't make sense because the business was around for such a long time. I didn't have years. I had 1 year, and I still did things differently than this. I let people go. That's one way to do it. Sucks. There's like several. There's several. And also there's several. So the thing with GBB is that they've proven that there's a market for this. And so Vocoder didn't explain specific. There are definitely alternatives. Because the model is proven. Vocoder, when I interviewed him, spoke and implied that taking out like loans or going for funding and investment rounds was a reality to creating a competitive event. And I think that is absolutely the truth. It is not hard if you go to investors and you say, "Hey, look, here's the competition. Here's what they're doing and not doing. I think I can do it better." Investors are going to be like, "Okay, well, they're going to any investor, anyone who's willing to drop money is going to do it not based on the certainty of success, but the potential earnings, right? So they'll invest. And then, you owe them a lot of money, which is why bootstrapping is nice. But, you can compete with Swiss Beatbox just by getting investors. Swiss Beatbox let go of Coca-Cola, all right? That is the 11th most spending brand, right? In the world. And as far as having a forum to talk about that, I'm sure they wanted to do it, but then like they got lost in a bunch of other stuff. But that just goes back to the fact that they're not organized. I think it's an inevitability that there's something that competes with GBB because they're all these there's a clawing, a combat going on, right? Like a battle royale of all of these different people trying to make it work, right? You got BBU, you got Beatbox International, Vocoder is doing his thing on the West Coast of the United States, and there was even something in New York recently. That might have been Beatbox International, but usually when you have to beat a first mover advantage, like Swiss Beatbox, you have to do it 10 times better. You have to offer 10 times the value. That's the general rule of thumb, right? So, is it possible to be 10 times better than Swiss Beatbox? Looks like it is. And so that's what I mean, that you have to be very, very forward-focused. You have to future-proof yourself against competition that could do it 10 times better.
Something that serves the artist, make additional money to give back something.
Yeah, there's
But
just
it was
backwards.
never in his interest.
Well,
It was never in his interest.
it's because he's horrible at. So one thing Paponi's very good at, actually, he's really good at being the visionary. Having a vision for the show, the competition. But how business works in the real world is the visionary has to go to finance. And then they have to fund their idea. And operations has to say, this is how much it's going to cost to do it. And then you have to take that info back to finance. And then they have to, approve it.
Yeah.
And Paponi just okay, you weren't at the company anymore, but I can give a perfect example. In February of 2021, it would have had to have been. Yes, we were in Barcelona, Spain, and we were very fortunate to able to get a grant from TikTok to make TikToks essentially and to create some educational content. And I pitched the project as it was, budgeted out, and it worked out great. And the company itself would have had several thousand euros left over to pay everybody a bonus, all the core team members a bonus or whatever, you know. But
That's so fucking smart. This woman is a fucking champion. I think when we talk about lost opportunity right now, I think part of that focus is like she wasn't leveraged to the best of her abilities. You know, the thing is usually with events. Usually with events, you get screwed. So like TikTok, they want to make an investment. Usually what you'd have happen is you get screwed. You'd be like, they would offer like 10 grand and they would be like, yeah, market for millions of views and we'll give you 10 grand. But that's not true if you have options. Because at that point, different companies are bidding against different companies, which increases, right, what they're willing to give. And she made that opportunity happen. So why the hell would you not do what is in your power to do to assist her to do her job when she's killing it and making money? At a certain point, you're leaving money at the table.
Tony got irate with me because he hasn't been out of that. This was like COVID times. He hasn't been out of the house in a long time and he wants to bring people together and have a good time. So he's just going to give the project management part of this one to Juliana because she can do it right or whatever. He's like, she'll do it right. She'll do it my way. She knows my way. I was like, okay, cool. Man, I went there. When I got there, it was so sad. I knew this is what was going to happen. Poponi was a total wreck because nothing was up to his standards. He was having meltdowns, literally crying, screaming, running around in and out of his room. Juliana was overworked, doing 5 different jobs. Everyone was overworked. Everyone looked like hell because it had been going on for like a week and they were miserable. And I was just so frustrated because I was like, yeah, you couldn't afford the 9-bedroom villa in Barcelona. I knew what the budget looked like. I was like, if you just sit down and listen to me for 10 minutes, we could have still done the project. And done a good job, and we could have saved money, you know, and paid people even better. We did pay the artists, and that was nice. But did you know that the production crew now, who took all the videos, hundreds of videos, I'm talking 6 weeks we stayed in this villa, and hundreds and hundreds, I want to say.
Sorry, I have to do a little bit better on the, this is the problem with using more compression, is that the low end gets bumped too, so you need a stronger gate. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, that's good. That should do it. Let me bump up the close threshold here. I really want to make, one thing I want to do is I want to make like a series of tutorial about like how to be a content creator so that all of these artists can do that and have leverage. Because I think that a lot of people, like if you do it where you're just swinging for the fences and like you're a dealo and stuff like that, you don't have to do some of the nitty gritty bullshit that I do, which is why I need to swing for the fences more. But yeah, when I get better at this, I want to do like a series on like, this is what you do if you're starting out.
I think about 500 videos they shot. At the end of this project, they overworked themselves actually to being sick. And Andreas was hesitant to give them any extra money, any bonuses, anything. And they volunteered to work for nothing. And he thought it was a win, you know, like, oh yeah, I did a good job. I negotiated. It's like,
I found people who don't want to get paid.
Because they were college kids who liked beatbox. He legit just takes advantage of people, man. And it was so embarrassing to me. And Juliana, I said she needs a bonus. She did all kinds of work.
As soon as one of those people stands up and asks for money and claims his rights, he gonna kick.
Saving money as a business is really important, but she's talked about how to save money. The other thing too is if you have 500 hours of footage or whatever she just said, like there are ways to make, like, to film less, right? So that you have, like, you don't have bullshit in between, right? It's just again and again and again, she's just making, like, I think there would be a lot of value for her to, like, sit down and really map out, like, a theoretical alternative to Swiss Beatbox, because, like, what she's explaining, the steps to get to that conclusion, or the steps to get to that point, and the way to execute it, because that's the big thing. It's easy to say these things, it's harder to execute it, but she knows how to do that because she got to deal with TikTok. So, you know, let people do their job. You have someone this competent, you let them do their job. And then you take credit for it, which is like what you do as the head of the company. You put really good people in place, and then you stroll around, you're like, oh, I did that. And is that douchey? Absolutely. That's super douchey. But it's better than this. And I'm joking. You don't fucking take people. You don't, like, you reward your team. You take the L when it's bad, and you let people have the W when it's good. You might hate Elon Musk, but when SpaceX screwed up their third rocket, he went up in front of the company and all the workers, specifically the scientists, and he said, listen, this is literally rocket science. We have a couple more tries to get this right before we run out of money. So it's okay that it happened. Let's do better next time. So in doing that, he protects the workers, right? He takes the L. He looks like a fool in front of the investors, and he makes the other people feel better because it's like, look, this is hard. So there are ways to do it, and again, like I'm very, very pro business. As you might have guessed, I'm like co-signing things that are like super sketch, because I think sometimes it's necessary, but year 3, 4, 5 in, when you have people like this getting boss, contracts, getting TikTok contracts, willing to talk to Coke if you get your shit together. At that point, I don't think running like a sleazy shop, like a used car lot, is like a justifiable undertaking. Even when I try to work with virtual assistants, like, and hire out to contractors, like, I don't always do a good job. In fact, I know I don't do a good job. But like, I'm definitely trying to do better to get the value out of them, and then also to provide the value of the service. But it's work. But like, if there's anything worth doing, that's the execution. That's how you do it. This woman knows her shit. Certainly possible to share profit at 10x of what BeatBox offers, which is 0. Oh, I meant like 10x in terms of 10x success for the business itself. But actually, to your point, if it goes back to artists, that is an investment, isn't it? So just give her a call. Yeah. The secret to success here that someone just said is to give her a call and give her a company and let her roll, and then she'll do it 10 times better. That's funny, but it's also funny because it's kind of true, isn't it?
That's exactly what he does.
Like he did with me. I don't know how it ended with Shazam, but I can't imagine that Shazam left just because he wanted to do his own thing. He was way too passionate about
Shazam will
the
have to
project.
speak for himself, but I would agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. He has to speak for himself, so I don't want to speak for him. This is just assumptions right now. Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, like the reason why I did the video with Spencer, why I'm doing this right now with you, is not being at Swiss Beatbox anymore is not the only problem. The problem is I still can't operate properly. I still can't do what I want to do because this person is always gatekeeping.
Yes.
This year, GBB 2023, I was even anxious to even ask if I can come to this event after all the
insane.
Stories that I heard. After what happened after GBB 21,
Yeah.
I should be there. I should be collaborating, and I would, on my own money, I would do jobs right now to afford this, to go there, to make projects with each beatboxer in Japan. I have a Japanese channel. People from Japan asking me, when are you coming to Japan? We want to meet you.
Because you love beatbox, right? And that's why you want to go do it.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
We want to see you. Are you coming to GBB? And I can't, because I know 100% Pepuni will try his very best to make my experience the worst experience ever in Japan. He will try his very best that I can't make any content, that I can't maybe.
For somebody who doesn't want to pay anything for work and labor, like literally he's saying, I will come, I will do shit for free. You don't have to pay me. I will make the content and I will make the money there. And then like all you have to do as Swiss Beatbox is claim it. Is that a douchey move? Yes. And shit, you would benefit even if you didn't claim it. There is no justifiable reason to not let someone who's that loyal and dedicated and passionate, to let them come in and do their shit. And they make money off it, you make money off of it. Like, there's no reason. Period. The end. Even if you want to stonewall people, even if you want to be a dick about it, there's still justifications. Like I said, like if you want to claim he puts out all this shit and you claim it, like, yes, that's sketchy, but it's, you know, like there's no mental justification. If you want to be a sketch lord and you want to be business, short-term profit, you can do that with this situation. If you want to be long-term and focus on brand and you know, all that shit, you would do the same thing and let him in and let him do his work. There is no situation, whether you're ethical or not, that you don't benefit from what Maddox is offering.
Maybe he will even take care to not even that I can enter the event. He will try to throw me out or something. And I'm talking before I released this video and before I released the video with Spencer X. I was 100% sure that I can't go to Japan to GBB 2023. Although I was building this event for years and years, I was putting all my energy, all my knowledge into it, like all the video concepts that I had for the event.
Yeah.
I was even creating like side ideas like the 7 to Smoke, to create even more content for GBB, to help grow this event.
You were not just the video person or a videographer.
And it feels like all for nothing. Like right now, even like I feel like like I was raising this baby and I can't even see it now anymore. It got taken away from me and I can't even visit it as a normal person. If I wouldn't be involved in Swiss Beatbox at all, but I still would have a YouTube channel, I probably would have no problem to get invited, because Prapuni would maybe see like, oh, he has a great channel, let's invite this guy, or let him do some stuff, we could benefit from this. But because he's greedy and
jealous,
he wants to see me suffer, he would do everything he can to block me from this event. And I'm 100% sure he would also try to do this with any other event that's happening in this world. When I saw Beatland is...
It looks like Maddox is like on the verge of tears. Like he's getting choked up. And this is, to me, this is how you know that it's you know, I wasn't in the room with Paponi. I'm not gonna like, you know, sling arrows, you know, something like that. But like, to me personally, when someone is getting like, when they're angry, you're like, is this real, or are you just bitter and you're venting? But then when Maddox comes in here and you look at his eyes and he's like, he's getting choked up. He's sad. There's a difference between being vindictive and angry and experiencing a loss.
Collaborating with Swiss Beatbox, and this was not from the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, I was regretting to even upload a wildcard for this event. And when I saw the logo of Swiss Beatbox on one of the posts of the European champs, I was thinking about not going, because I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with Swiss Beatbox, and I'm scared that when I go there, some bullshit will happen.
Yeah, me too.
I would have kept quiet about this topic. I would have tried to solve these problems with Papuni in person, with anyone else in the Swiss Beatbox crew in person, but it's impossible. I tried to talk to this person, and it's every time I try to reach out to him, I feel like it's making it worse and worse, because he sees me as a bigger enemy with every word that I tell him. And I have no idea how to approach this person. And that's why I saw the urgency to go public, because this was the only way that I could be like, okay, the community has to know what is happening.
Yeah, what you said a minute ago with gatekeeping, that's an important theme. And I mean, gatekeeping is a nice way to say it. He's actually coming in and stealing the greatest treasure of all. Because if he really cared, he should be helping you with your event, making it great, producing it on your own channel, not trying to just make content. Like, he doesn't own the art of beatbox. And that's what makes me feel real crazy. He gatekeeps the art form, not just like artists.
So this is, you know, guys, even if you guys think we are just greedy right now, we got kicked out, talk to people about their personal experiences with this person. And I can tell you 100%, if they were working with this person or interacting with this person for a longer amount of time, they always have a bad story with this person. And and it was shocking me with Spencer X. I wanted to just do a normal interview with Spencer X, talking about his success on TikTok. It was messaging with Papuni, and Papuni already said so many disgusting things to this guy back then when he was still a young beatboxer.
If he can't use you, you don't matter to him. He can treat people like royalty also. It's very confusing. So especially if you're a man, I'm sorry, but it's true. If you're white, if you have money or prestige, so if you're seen as, you know, a champ in the community, or you have status, or you're influencer, he puts on his best show in front of you.
As you should, to be honest with you. Like, not everybody is, not everybody gets the same treatment. That said, you know, the scope of like, I'm going to treat you like royalty, now I'm going to treat you like shit, that is a problem. Like, you can narrow it down. Like, you do have to prioritize people who will bring the views, who will bring the numbers, and you do have to prioritize them over people who don't. But that does not mean that you don't treat the people who don't like shit. Here's an example. I had an opportunity to interview Joel X right before everyone was like, holy shit, this kid is amazing. I had every opportunity to do it. I fucked off. Not because I didn't think of him, but because there were other things going in my life, that needed priority. So like Joel X just the consequence is that Joel Lux, I can't get an interview with him. And in general, because my life shit took over, I have tanked on my YouTube career. But yeah, those are the consequences of doing that, and that's fine. I'm an adult. I will take those consequences, but they're avoidable. And the way you avoid them is you have your shit together, which I did not. So I paid the price.
Yeah, if you spend a week with him, it doesn't matter who you are. You will see him throw huge irrational fits that take a major toll on his health and the health of everybody around him. He started threatening to fire me a lot the last year I worked there, but then he would always be like, "No, please don't leave." It's kind of strange, but he would always say, "You need to leave Swiss Beatbox, and then you have to leave the beatbox community. Like you own the beatbox community."
I feel that.
Every time I said, "I'm not going anywhere."
And I can tell you the same thing. I'm not going to stop following the community, supporting artists just because of this maniac. Everyone watching right now, I'm not going to stop fight for my rights until this guy either turns around 180 degrees or he just leaves the community.
I'm done with them.
Heavy topic.
There are answers, though.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to leave the viewers right now hopeless. I can feel like if you watch this right now, it's making you sad. But I think there's ways to improve what's happening in the community right now.
And there are
when you have people like this in the community, you don't have to worry about beatbox going anywhere. All right, when you have Maddox, when you have Shazam and Sin, when you have Rachel here, right? They're damn right. Beatbox is not going to go anywhere. And this was the video that I made about, people saying Shazam and Sin and BBU is all a scam. Shut the fuck up. These people are the ones we need. These people are the ones putting the effort for not a lot of money. You have someone who's a successful businesswoman, leaves to go help beatboxing. You have someone who's an incredible video editor, leaving for free. There's no way that this community is going to be damaged in perpetuity by Poponi. There are too many very competent and very passionate people for it to go anywhere. Thank God. Thank you to people like Maddox. Thank you to Shazam and Sin. Thank you to Rachel. Especially Rachel. Because like Maddox, D'Lo, all of these artists are going to they're going to secure the heart of the community, but Rachel can make that a reality. So people like Rachel are a treasure. She's the biggest mistake that Pony made. Not letting her take the reins and not listening to her is the biggest mistake Swiss Beatbox has ever made. And I feel really, really good saying that.
Very best to serve the community the best way he can. And it doesn't matter to which artist I'm talking to from the community. Everyone is telling me, bro, the events from Ivory, of course they're not as big as Swiss Beatbox, but they feel like they are valued, they feel like they're respected. They love to spend time at the event. And for me, these events are always the most beautiful community events. And yeah, like in Grass, like at the Bayreuth Beatbox Battle, Vokal Total, Shootout Battle. Back then we had Emperor of the Mic. He always took care so well of every artist, and I think people like him, like that's why I'm not losing hope in this community, because there's people like Ivory next to Parker. MC Mike Lee, I also want to mention, like when I went to Asia Champs, he has a good heart. Like I can see, like he even reached out to me after I left Swiss Beatbox. He even tried to connect me and Papuni to talk to each other because he really, really cares. I just helped him a little bit at Asia Champs, I remember. Like I was just helping him shooting photos for the thumbnails and explaining him stuff. Till this day, he's still so thankful for this.
Yeah.
All the artists I know, they only have good words for this person. Yeah.
Another community that I just think that's doing an amazing job is the community that Ede Melendez is leading with BEATBOX Maestro and the Maestro America. The Hispanic speaking community a few years ago went through some troubles with hearing allegations of sexual assault. Some of it had to do with the Thomas Sacre rumors, whatever you want to call them. But whatever they were, they decided to take a very zero tolerance policy on that kind of behavior. And they started bringing women into their events. And now women are leading and teaching beatboxing.
This is a perfect example of fucking yourself in the short term by not prioritizing people on bullshit logic. You better believe that the Hispanic community is going to be making more money because they are letting talent in and encouraging talent that is not ordinarily considered. Their talent pool is larger. At the end of the day, the way you compete in these events is you have the better artists. And if you don't, you will go the way of Vine. Vine died because all of the artists that were essential, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and so many others, they're like, peace, I'm going to YouTube because they're going to treat me better. You look at YouTube versus Twitch. Look at YouTube versus TikTok. Every single content creator wants to be on YouTube. They fight to be on YouTube. They do more work. They get better to be on YouTube because it's a good deal. That's where you want to be. That should be the goal. There are too many examples of that being the case to where you could just ignore that.
And I have never seen anything happen quite like this. So I'm excited to be able to be working with them and going to be producing some content, hopefully this next year, to bring some highlights on what they're really doing, because the way they did it was very authentic. And I real quick want to point out, like, there's these common factors, Maddox, to all these events and these leaders that you're pointing out. I think it's because their motivation is building community and displaying the art form with integrity so that the community can grow. And, for whatever reason, this is between Paponi and himself, but his own personal success is very much wrapped up in Swiss Beatbox's goals. And I don't see how it's possible to detangle that without a couple years of therapy. I advised him to step down as the CEO. Actually, I told him Mike Lee should, to be honest. I was like, I did. I said, let Mike Lee run this for a couple years. There's a great, I like it. It's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the guy who wrote the book had a business. And he took this business, he was going to take it public. And he hadn't ever done an IPO before. So he booked a meeting with someone who's way more experienced and successful than he did. And the guy looked at his business as like, I'm only going to do this if it's 51%. I'm not doing it otherwise. And the guy just was like, fuck that. He took the L, ultimately probably better for the experience of it. But he took an L there because the business just crashed and burned. He probably would have been better off just selling the business to that guy. It's hard to know, right? Because you don't want to just sell yourself short. You don't want to be like, well, this person has more experience, so I'm going to give the business to them. Like, you don't want to do that. But let me tell you, everybody should be in therapy. Every person should be in therapy. Every single person, especially people running a business. The last thing you can do as a business owner is let your personal mentality compromise the success of a business. You need therapy. Oh my God, being a startup is so exhausting. It's so hard on your mind. I'm still juggling with it. I want to be a better husband.
So at what point do you take care of yourself so you can take care of your business? The answer is right away, or you'll get screwed. That's where my channel went. Why? Because I had to get my shit together. You cannot love your business. You cannot make the business your life. It will come back and bite you in the ass, period, the end.
He just cares so much about his ego that he can't see straight. So good luck. I don't know. Good luck, Swiss BEATBOX.
I think this was not the last conversation, and I'm promising to everyone watching right now, this is not the last conversation. I will keep talking to people. I will try my very, very best to improve the situation in the community. I'm trying to help artists from around the world. You saw it with collabs with Footbox G, with Middle School, with River, with Dan. Some of these productions I did completely from my own pocket, because I value these artists and I want to see them strive and to grow. And I believe that there's a lot of people out there in the community. We were already naming MC Mike Lee. We named Ivor next to Parker. I know Kim. Back then with La Cup and stuff, with the French jams, he was always taking care of the community so well, and he was always trying to do good. So there's a lot of resources in the community who are serving the community well, just want to do good things. So we should focus on these people, help these people out, and yeah, move on, guys.
I think that's the answer is we need to educate artists, and fans need to be educated so that way, you know, they can know what they should expect with anybody. You know, anyone who's a performing musician, you should learn what is fair treatment for me, because anybody could try to swindle you on a contract.
And stand up for your rights, right? If you feel like badly treated.
I think we need some more content about that, you know, and we need some more help teaching artists how to defend themselves. Fans, he starts
Ivor next to Parker. I know
themselves.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, Rachel. If you're interested, by the way, I try to reach out to artists right now. It's really hard.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for the stream for this. Appreciate folks coming in and watching my stupid ass for as long as y'all have. This is probably the last Swiss BEATBOX any video that I'll make. I will almost certainly never make another Swiss BEATBOX video again, because the reality is that there are so many positive examples. There's so many amazing things that are happening. It doesn't make sense. We should mourn it. We should mourn it. It's a big loss. And I think it's just going to be the L, because he you know, doesn't want to change, and he's letting the best people in the community go. That's the biggest mistake you could possibly make. So I'm not making another Swiss BEATBOX, whether it's you know, a wild card or a big performance or anything like that. I just don't need to, and I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good thing, right? Maddox can talk about it. Rachel can talk about it. I'm talking about, like, you know, this video is actually going to be the devil's advocate. It's going to be the devil's advocate, right? I'm going to try my best to side with the person who's running the business, and it's going to come short because it's bad.